Ooh, and we are live. Hey, welcome everybody. Good to see everybody out there. So happy you're joining me. So I'm gonna get started right away on this. So last time I streamed, I worked on this dog. The dog is from Bill Plimpton's cartoon Guard Dog. Let me show you an image of it. Well, here's one of the images I'm working from. But I've already finished the dog, and I'm gonna start working on the man. And so, yeah, thanks for joining me on this. I'm just going to start sculpting away. Feel free to put any questions in the chat or anything. And yeah, we'll just talk about sculpting and art and whatever else comes up. But I'm just going to get right down into it. Just got all my reference set up and other monitors. And yeah, just going to take a quick look around the dog here. Pretty silly, hilarious sculpt of the dog. Oh, actually, I see one little thing I want to change. There's this slight weird gap between the eyeball and the eyelid, so I'm just going to fix that up real quick. All right, cool. So that is the dog, and now we're going to do the man. Um, there's actually, I'm not quite sure which version I want to do. There's like the man at the end of the short, he gets all tangled up and choked by the dog's leash. That could be fun. Or also, there's a version of the guy where he's just kind of like happily walking down the street. As far as like a funny scenario, I think him getting wrapped up by the cord is like makes for the funniest scene, but I think something that shows more of his character is how he's like smiling and walking. So I'm kind of conflicted on which way to go with that one today. If anybody has a suggestion, I'm happy to entertain it. Hey, Steven, welcome to the chat. How's things going? Where are you tuning in from, Steven? So I'm just going to save the dog and start a whole new scene. Is he doesn't draw characters consistently. He draws them in the way that is most emotionally impactful for the exact moment that they're being seen in an animation. So the character's proportions, anatomy, detail, everything can change if it lends a more interesting look uh, in that precise moment. So that's one thing that's really cool about his stuff, and it you don't really notice it. You don't think from seeing this shot to shot that like, oh, this is he screwed up. He like the anatomy was one way and now it's a different way, um, but it just feels right. So that's a really cool trick. Anyway, I'm gonna start hand sculpting on this guy's head. Yeah, but that's the one thing that makes it a little tricky about sculpting it is because every shot, every screen capture I took of him, it's a different look, right? It's different anatomy, different proportions, different details, and so I kind of have to synthesize um, the right look between them. Hey, Joy Otome, Evil Rock. Yeah, I'm sculpting this dog. See, I just finished it. Wow, wasn't that fast? Just kidding. So I did this the last time I streamed. And now I'm going to be sculpting the guy, the owner of the dog from Bill Plimpton's cartoon Guard Dog, which I highly recommend looking up on YouTube. Oh, actually, I did see one more thing I want to change on this before I start with sculpting the man. This collar was just kind of like digging into the neck a little bit. Okay, cool. All right, so let's start sculpting the man. I guess I'll start with his body. So he's got kind of an egg-shaped body. You can see it's drawn totally different. Like here, it's sort of like his hips are a little smaller than his shoulders. And then here, his butt is like one big sphere, and his shoulders are also kind of like another sphere. Um, in this one, he's falling down, but then his like butt gets bigger, and his shoulders are smaller. Um, I think this might be to emphasize the falling effect, make him look like a raindrop, to emphasize the way the weight is pulling him down, which is like so brilliant. It's like the way he distorts the proportions depending on the emotion he's trying to express from shot to shot is just amazing. Like absolute genius. So I have to kind of like synthesize all these different proportions to make something that looks good as a sculpture. So that's what the life of a sculptor is really, is balancing those kinds of things. So I'm just going to do a rough block out with like some primitives, and then I'll push those shapes around, and then when I'm happy with how that looks, then I'll like refine it some more. Another shot of him. So most of the shots, he's kind of got a little bit bigger hips than upper body, so I'll just keep trying to go with that kind of proportion, I think. So these models are going to be used for, I don't know, just my own fun, really. I might 3D print them on my 3D printer, but yeah, they're just for fun, really. Harsh, welcome to the chat. Um, Harsh says, "Hello, can you help me with sculpting a veiled Mary sculpture? I already made the bust, but failing with the drapery. Tried dynamics, but not good. Can you advise for the cloth?" Ooh, so veiled Mary. I don't know if you can like link a reference image or something, but yeah, cloth sort of draping over anatomy is one of the hardest things you can do. I would say uh, one thing that I think has worked for me is what you can do is say you've got, I'll actually just go back to the dog model and show you really quick. So let's say we're trying to put drapery over this dog's face, right? Um, One thing you can do is you could use Ryan's tools. Actually, might shout out to my plugin. Mask off where you want the drapery to be on the figure, and then in Ryan's tools, if you go to, I'll put a link in the chat actually. If you get Ryan's tools, what you can do is go to Ryan's tools and there we go. Under Easy Shell, there's this thing called Extract, which pops out a just everything you had masked, it just pops it out as a separate piece of geometry. And I accidentally got like some of the inside of the mouth in there, but don't worry about that. That's not necessary to worry about. So anyway, so this would be the cloth that's sitting on the surface, right, of your Mary sculpture, veiled Mary, right? And then what you can do is I might just do a quick like Z remesh on it. Because of course the cloth isn't gonna like form fit perfectly. Put a little smooth modifier on that. And then what you can do is you can use the smooth peaks brush and hold down Alt while you use it. And so, oops, I need to turn off my dynamic sculptress mode. Um, so when you're smoothing with the smooth peaks brush, you hold down Alt, and instead of smoothing down the peaks, it'll actually fill in the valleys. So this will kind of simulate the effect of like the cloth not sitting down deep into like any crevices. And you can also kind of inflate it outwards a little bit. And then from here, you can get like a clay brush and then sculpt kind of like how the cloth would stretch across like different parts of the anatomy. And then this is where you're kind of sculpting in your wrinkles and your folds and fabric, dynamics type stuff. Um, so anyway, that's kind of how I would do it. And now I did this really rough, of course. It's like doesn't look great, but if you keep at it and you practice and maybe try a few times, eventually you'll get something that feels like fabric sitting over your character. So hopefully that helped answer your question. All right, back to sculpting this man. Yeah, you got it, Harsh. Anybody see any good 3D animated films lately? I haven't really. Oh, you know what? Actually, I saw K-pop Demon Hunters recently. I thought it was really good. It was like the perfect blend of anime and 3D animation. Oh, something else I was wanting to talk about with the chat, just a little bit of self-promotion. I I've started a new video series on YouTube where I talk about AI and creativity, and it's really interesting. I have guests on, and I chat about what it means to be an artist in the age of AI. Um, and it's interesting because I think AI and art is a topic that fascinates me, even though I'm actually not like team AI. I'm not like a cheerleader for AI. I'm not like I don't think that AI can actually make art, but I think it's the technology is really fascinating, and I want to think about it because I don't want to. I think AI is going to be used to make movies in the future, and many movies will be made almost entirely with AI, and I don't think that's a good thing, but I think it's reality, and I think it's important to like look at reality and accept it and try to work on its terms. And so, as scary as it is, I think it's important to talk about these topics and think about them. So anyway, that's what I'm trying to do with my YouTube series, and it's called Miracle Machine. Um, and Yeah, check it out. Um, I think if you search my name on YouTube, you should be able to find it. Miracle Machine, Ryan Kittleson. Hey, how's it going, Cyberdelic Relics? I like your little alien comment. That's cool. Hey, toy maker Andrew. That's cool that you make toys. What kind of toys do you make? Where are you from? All right, I'm going to start sculpting the head now. And I like this one for the profile a lot. It's just got so much character. So yeah, I'm just going to start in on it. It's kind of like his head is made out of like several different primitives, right? There's almost kind of like a squashed sphere right here, and then another one kind of here, but then it like gets broken up with a chin and like his neck fat. So it's just gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna throw together like different primitives and just try to see how it's all gonna fit together. I love his hair too. He's got like such a crazy what do you call it, buzz cut or not a buzz cut, flat top. Oh, nice. Toymaker Andrew works at Funko. That's great. What's your favorite Funko Pop that you've worked on? Tom and Jerry Funko Pop. That sounds like a lot of fun. Trying to imagine how you would translate Tom and Jerry into Funko Pops. Their faces are nothing like the soft cube of a Funko Pop. That's really cool. Steven asks, do you have any use for the new featured Python integration with ZBrush? That is a great question. I have very briefly played with a little bit of it. Um, However, I haven't done much with it because as far as I know, if I publish anything with it, they don't yet have a way to make um, to compile it in a way that's non-readable, and so I'd be giving away my code basically, um, which I don't want to do. So I haven't really started playing deeply with it, but there are a few things actually that I want to work on that I can't do with Z scripting that would be probably doable with Python, but I have not sat down yet and really figured it out yet. It's Cube Tom. There's probably an episode of Tom and Jerry where like Tom gets squished inside a box and he just gets drawn as a cube. That would be fun. Can't imagine what it was like to work I mean, I remember, but it's like hard to imagine what it was like to work before live booleans and figuring out like subtracting objects from other objects. I never watched a lot of Tom and Jerry actually. I was always more of a Coyote and Roadrunner kind of guy. Hey, Alan R. We are making this guy from this cartoon by Bill Plimpton called Guard Dog, which I highly recommend looking up on YouTube. And I did the dog already. So now we're doing the guy. Yeah, thanks. Glad you like it, Alan. Let's see, I'll make his ear next. He's got a really fun ear. It's just a simple cartoony ear. Thanks, Toy Maker Andrew. Just trying to think how I want to make this ear. I'm gonna try something a little different with this ear, maybe. Try to get the overall shape first and then like extrude to get the depression in the middle of the ear. I just threw in a couple extra edge loops to help create kind of like sharper angles. It's one of the things that's really nice about sculpting cartoony characters is like really defining like the sharp and curve areas. Really helps bring out a lot of character. using another feature in Ryan's tools, which lets you dynamically change thickness instead of like blindly using a slider and hoping it turns out right. You can just kind of dial in the right amount of thickness. Is anybody here using Ryan's tools? And another one is just this quick instance button. Just one click instancing with mirror turned on. All right, now I'm going to try to get that that extrusion that's going to make this ear look good with a like a depression in it. So Ryan's Tools is the plugin that I made for ZBrush. I'm typing in the link in the chat. And yeah, Ryan's Tools is it's great. It totally streamlines my workflow. I work easily twice as fast as I would without it. And just kind of like added a bunch of things that ZBrush doesn't have, or like made better versions of things that work clunky in ZBrush. Um, so yeah, I'm always working on it, always updating it. And so sometimes when I start a sculpt on this live stream, I won't say what it is, and if people can guess, like the first person to guess who it is or what it is, wins a copy of Ryan's Tools. The pro version is $20, so they want a free, $20 version of it. So when I was doing this dog last time, someone guessed it and won it. So it's definitely something I'm going to keep doing. So definitely tune in to the live stream going forward. Hey, thanks, Alan. Nobody's ever told me my pricing structure was awesome before, but I'll take it. Yeah, I definitely tried to make it accessible to people who, aren't rich or aren't pros. Yeah, the demo videos go over every feature in detail, and I released demo videos, as I was making updates. So if you want to see like every feature, you kind of have to watch like each video for each release of it. I was thinking about making one that's um, kind of covers all of the features, but in a more superficial way, because it would take like 2 hours to go over like in detail every feature. But if I just kind of do like a quick time lapse, like no narration, just like boom, this feature does this, this feature does that, and not necessarily show how to use the features, I could probably get through it pretty quickly. Yeah, yeah, I probably could do that, like at different points in kind of the overview video, just have links to, that go to the more specific videos. Sorry, my voice is kind of raspy today. I think I ate a lot of salty popcorn yesterday and it dried out my throat. Hey, thanks, Alan. I love I love this picture. In the animation, this squirrel opens up, his head gets like cut off or something, and then it's squirrel opens his mouth up, and just like the animation on that is just insanely gorgeous. But anyway, I love the way his eyes are shaped right here, like his eyebrows and this like space between his eyelids and his eyebrows kind of forms this really, really fun like negative shape with a nice sharp edge on it. And I'm really going to try to accentuate that in my sculpt. Yeah, exactly, Alan. Wow, my voice is getting worse and worse. I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back. Oh, wow. Okay, much better. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Using these primitives to get the proportions of the major anatomical features in place, and then I'm going to um, dynamesh it together and kind of smooth out the transitions. I totally get what you mean about the wrestling match with IMM brushes. Yeah. Um, do I have any tools that help with that? Nope. And I don't have any solution for you other than get good at wrestling, unfortunately. Maybe I should save this before it crashes. Suplex that mess. Doing digital lucha libre. Alan says, I spent a couple of days wrestling with the rivets on a Cuirass. I don't know what that is, until I decided to just insert the rivet mesh manually and was done inside 2 minutes. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's one of the things I find the most with ZBrush is that there's a lot of fancy gadgets that do fancy things, but they don't really work that well in real world situations sometimes. And the manual approach is often better. It's kind of weirdly the same critique I have of AI for making video and images, which is like it'll kind of sort of like follow your instructions and it'll make something that looks pretty, but it wasn't really giving you what you were imagining. And it's kind of, I think the whole point of art is you have to get dirty with your hands and actually like push things around and work at it and struggle a little bit and kind of like make refinements and edits and kind of change your vision a little bit as you go and AI kind of takes all that away from you. Oh, cool. Thanks, Alan. Yeah, that's right, Casey. It's no fun. Don't be lazy. Yep, I totally agree with that. I played around with AI video and images and stuff. I wanted to see, what it really was. What does it feel like to make images and video with AI? And ultimately, I just realized I'm like bored with it. It's kind of like not not that interesting, honestly. The thing that's interesting about looking at art is like knowing that a human being like put a lot of effort into it, a lot of time, and they're putting their soul into it. And the fact that AI can just crap out something that looks kind of sort of like that, but in minutes and without any actual human soul, is kind of depressing. And I don't really think it's worth anybody's time. Hi, ME. Welcome to the chat. The Michelin Man. Yeah. Uh, so for anybody who came in late, I'm making the man part of the duo of guard dog from Bill Plimpton's cartoon. Um, so this is the man. So I'm going to be fusing together these primitives soon. Juan Moreno, yes, I do use a Wacom tablet. Actually, I own a mouse, but it usually sits in my drawer most of the time. Oh yeah, Casey Forster, like yeah, trying to figure out like how a real artist like got to their end point. Yes, yeah, they're artists are magicians in a lot of ways. Yeah, AI is an extremely capable Swiss Army knife. Yeah, I mean it can do some interesting things for sure. As a but yeah, I think it's important as a creator using AI to really pay attention to your inner vision and making sure that what you're creating aligns with that inner vision and not just accepting whatever it gives you and saying, ah, yeah, that's what I was going for. It's kind of like there's a Calvin and Hobbes cartoon where he's trying to make a fighter jet out of clay, and it just turns out to be this big lump, and he ends up he ends up deciding he was making an ashtray because what he made had looked nothing like a fighter jet. It looked more like an ashtray. That's kind of AI, is it? Like it's easy to say that whatever it made is what you were going for because it looks pretty or whatever. I think a better word for AI is artificial craftiness. 'Cause I don't think it's actually intelligent. It's just crafty. AI sells hot dogs made from the efforts of artists. Yeah, it makes hot dogs from the USDA prime steaks of artists and turns them into mystery meat hot dogs. Hi, MB. Traditional media realist. Oh, that's cool. That's a lot of work. Making an écorché. That's cool. Renan Sculpts. I use a Wacom tablet. Actually, they gave me one for free because I um, endorsed their product in one of their marketing videos. Yeah, the AI race will come down to those who can most efficiently control it. Yeah. It makes me worry though, because I think that the people who can most efficiently control it are the people with billions of dollars who are making these models, and they'll use it to control everybody else. Because when AI controls the media that you consume and it filters for you and only gives you the opinions that it wants you to know, because the billionaires who control it only want you to know certain things, or the politicians only want you to know certain things, it's going to be a powerful way to control the masses. And I'm going to check out of getting news online when that happens. All right, so I'm going to try to move to the next phase of this character and fuse these primitives together and blend it into one shape. And then I'll get like the eyes in, and then I'll do like in the mouth, and then I'll do another pass of blending, I think. You can actually tell I'm standing at my standing desk, Casey. Homebrew AI. That'll be interesting. You can already run the LLMs and even the video generation models, honestly, from your own computer at home if you have a strong enough computer. Fighting with a little glitch in ZBrush right now. It's not ordering my uh, dynamic booleans correctly. So I'm like struggling with the interface off screen on a different monitor, and it's being annoying. CD projectrid? What do you mean by that? I don't know what that means. There's one really interesting person doing video with AI that I think is that I can actually get behind. Is this guy on YouTube? And he has an Instagram and a TikTok too, I think, called Gossip Goblin, and he makes stories that are sort of darkly prophetic about where AI is going and how it's going to kind of turn into a dystopia. And he uses AI video to demonstrate that dystopia. And I think he has like a really strong artistic vision, and he really pushes the AI to give him imagery that aligns with that vision. Um, Still, I would appreciate it much more if it were like made old school, but you can kind of tell like the amount of work it would take it would just be impossible for one person to pull off. So I'm not like 100% hating on it on AI, but I do think it should not be used nearly as much for the stuff it's being used for as it is now. Yeah, I've never played Cyberpunk. You're talking about the game, was it 2077? Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, just check out the 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 page and the YouTube channel stuff about Ryan's tools, and yeah, I couldn't live without them, honestly. It's been really cool to release them to the public and get everybody's feedback on them. I kind of just put them out there as just like a fun little gift back to the community, and they actually turned into something that a lot of people have really been into. Um, they're kind of more just general ZBrush tools, but there are some that are focused on specific types of output, particularly 3D printing. There's tools for hollowing out objects with a specific wall thickness, for example. Um, that's, but I would say most things are pretty general purpose. Actually, I think I'm going to try to get his mouth a little bit more established at this stage. Oh, hey, hi, Roxalian. It's awesome to hear. Where did you get your... Oh, sorry, ZBrush license. For some reason, I was like, my brain went to like a driver's license, like you need to get a certification to use ZBrush after you've bought it. I didn't sleep well last night. That's great that you got your ZBrush license. Yeah, I'm glad that you're excited to learn from me. Um, yeah, just plugging away at this guy here. Hey, glad to hear that, Alan. Yeah, that is crazy about like all the different 3D softwares having their own hotkeys. It does become really annoying. I might as well even start trying to get like the eyelids and eyebrows in at this stage. I might boolean it together at once or I might not, but I do like his eyes closed look. So anyway, I can at least start fitting that stuff in, even if I don't lock it in with Dynamesh in the first pass. So Alan asks, what maintains features better as you apply deformation, smoothing, masking, or creasing, or both? I think it just depends on what kind of deformation you're trying to do, what kind of shapes you're trying to make. I don't think there's any one of those features that's more important than another. Tabernax asks, how do I see the future of my work as a ZBrush artist with the rise of AI? I think there's two different um, effects I see, and it depends on the industry that I'm working in because half of the work that I do is for animation, like visual effects animation, and the other half of the work I do is in fine art sculpture. And with animation, I see that being affected much more by AI because, if studios can create the result they're looking for um, by skipping the entire VFX pipeline and just going straight to an AI generated video, that's going to save them a lot of money, and that cuts me out of the workflow. Not entirely. I think there are still ways to um, use my skills. Like, so for example, I think, if an AI generated video needs to have a very specific creature design or something, some character design in it, it could still be very useful to have someone like me sculpt that character's likeness, and then they feed that into the AI and say, okay, now make this creature, this character move and come to life. So that could still be a thing. Or hopefully, the AI or the VFX industry just, either by its own choice or by law is decides to continue to make films the traditional way, which is really weird to call digital art traditional, but now with AI, it is traditional. So hopefully, and I think Netflix actually has come out with like a legal framework that requires the studios that work on films for Netflix cannot use AI. So that's great for now. We'll see how long that holds. When it comes to the world of fine art, I think I'm a little bit more protected because art, fine artists in general are much more opposed to AI because I think they understand the work and the meaning that goes into art when you make it by hand. And hopefully that will not change. We'll see. Hey, Bane Nascent. I am making this character from the Bill Plimpton short animated film um, called Guard Dog. That's this guy here. I highly recommend looking up Guard Dog on YouTube. Hey, Tabernax. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's crazy. You left the video game industry to move into retail design because of AI. That's really sad, for one. Sorry to hear that. How can you describe more about how AI was affecting your career in the video game industry? Were you just not able to find work because your work got replaced by AI? What does that look like? Alan says the key will be using AI to increase your creative output, probably a scenario where you create template animations and the AI will then propagate through all the permutations you would need based on the job at hand. Yeah, I could definitely see that being one way it could be used. Basically, just an assistant, really, an assistant that gets what you're going for, helps you achieve it. Um, Kind of a best case scenario. Hopefully that might be how it works. And I think one thing that's kind of frustrating to me about using AI to make movies and comic books and novels and music and all this stuff, really, is that even before AI, there was already too much content. Or maybe not too much, but like enough. There was definitely enough content where you could go the rest of your life and never could be able to consume it all. Do we really need more content? Even if it takes a long time to create it, it's a lot of work, but people were able to, at least if you were like successful enough, like if you got enough of a following, you could make a living off of it. Um, when it's so democratized where anybody can just make a movie in an afternoon, what does that say about the value of movies going forward? I think they're not going to seem all that valuable. People are just going to see it as like a throwaway thing, um, which I think is unfortunate. Yeah, I mean it is about shrinking cost. But when you shrink cost, like it shrinks the perceived value of a thing, um, and people just care about it less. Really sorry to hear about that, Tabernax. That sounds pretty horrible. Unfortunately, I think it's the norm. Yeah, I think Alan R. I think you're right. I think it's going to go back to like who are the people that actually are really, really good at coming up with story ideas and characters, um, who has vision, you know. Those are the people that are going to be able to make the movies that are worth making. My plan was not to rig this guy for animation, but I'm not opposed to it at all. The thought was more of like preparing it for 3D printing and just having a nice little sculpture to put on my desk. But also, I think there's so much content is going to be made, going back to the AI conversation. It's going to be impossible to sift through it all, and there's going to be just amazing things made that a huge percentage of the population is never even going to see because they're busy watching other things that are amazing, or at least that appeal to them very personally. Um, what I think might happen is a return to art that is communal and that is where you can be absolutely certain it was made without AI. And I think the perfect example of that is something like improv theater, because there's no faking that. That's just pure human creation, and there's no way you can fake that with AI. And people, I think, will return to appreciating those creative expressions, or like music, live music, um, stand-up comedy. I suppose you might have the AI might write the material for you, but there's a lot of creativity in the presentation too. So I think those kind of art forms that just can't be faked with AI are going to have a big resurgence. No AI will ever best that human element. Yeah, I mean, AI might make something that looks slicker or, um, technically is better than what most people can do, or at least within, you know, the time frame it takes to do it for sure. Spitting out a painting in seconds that would take a human months to do. But I think our appreciation of the art that's made when we know it's made by a human is going to be way higher. Just knowing that like someone else dedicated themselves to a craft. And it really sucks with some of the media like film and painting and drawing and stuff like that. I mean, sure you can observe a human making that art in their studio or with a camera and you know that they actually made it themselves. That's great, but like proving it to anybody, on the internet, you post your art online and people you're never going to be able to tell was it made with AI or not. It's going to be hard to tell. And so those art forms that just can't be faked and you have to see them in person, I think are going to be the future of creative expression. Which sucks for me because I put all my chips in the art forms that, are kind of slow and you have to, and like you do them by yourself, like sculpting. Like, yes, you guys are watching me do this, but, I think in the future, maybe in 5 years or so, there could be an AI that pretends to be me and on camera and just acts like me and talks like me and sculpts for me and stuff. Um, but yeah, my art form isn't like, hey, watch me perform this so much. I mean, you guys like watching me, but I think it's not the kind of thing most people are going to sit around and watch. I do think we're going to need laws that put people first in the use of AI. I mean, AI at best it's a tool, and tools are made to serve the tool user, right? Humans. But I could see a situation where we're no longer in control of that. It's just like Facebook, right? It's like originally it was created with this thought of like, oh, we're just gonna connect people and help people like share content and like stay in touch with their friends, and we're just helping people. And but of course, after they gained a majority of market share, you saw their true colors. It's not about helping people. It's about dominating an advertising space and making lots of money off people. And if the product is free, the user is the product. And we are giving, if we have Facebook accounts, we're giving them our data for free. And they're using it against us. And the same thing's going to happen with AI. I think in the future there's always going to be a free tier of AI, and that's going to be the tier to watch out for because that's the one that's going to be collecting all your data, and it's going to be subtly feeding you advertising when you ask it, opinions about things, or you ask it like, what's going on in world events, and instead of just telling you the truth, it tells you something that its, corporate or government overlords want you to know or want you to think, and that's going to be scary. And the expensive paid for AIs are always going to be more powerful. And the people who can afford the powerful ones are the ones that are going to stay in power. And it's gonna maintain the imbalance of power in this world. Probably make it way worse. Yeah. Could I get AI to generate an SEO? Yes, there are AI 3D model generators that I could feed in the screenshots of this character, and it would dump out absolute garbage. Especially like so some things if you came in late, I was talking earlier about how this character it looks different in every single shot. Which I think in a lot of professional contexts, from like professional animation, is a bad idea, right? It's like not what you're supposed to do. Is you're supposed to make the character consistent across all different views and whatever, and like anatomically consistent. Um, but Bill Plimpton gets away with it because Bill Plimpton's a genius, and he modifies the design based on what's how it'll look, give the emotional expression he wants from shot to shot, and he's a genius at it. So AI is going to have a hard time with that. It's going to try to mangle together these different perspectives and different proportions and anatomies, and it's just going to come out like hot garbage. So, I think it takes a real artist to make intelligent decisions about what anatomical features to keep or how to blend different drawings into one sculpture. And it's fun too. I'm really enjoying this. Like, I want to be doing this. It's a fun challenge. Oh yeah, standing. I mean, I don't stand all day. I think also standing all day can be hard on your body, but I alternate. I go like 2 hours standing, 2 hours sitting, back and forth throughout my workday. But yeah, I'm standing right now. Yeah, like your Bane, NASA, to your point about the AI generated art settling with good enough. Yeah, and people, I think a lot of people just want to see a pretty picture and they don't care about the work that goes into it, or they want to hear a fun song or whatever. And sure, AI will spit out a pretty picture, um, but for me, it's just like it feels like it's coated in it's high fructose corn syrup. AI generated art is just so like slick and sugary, and it's gross. Yeah, that's true. Bane, yeah, trying to find like the common thread across all those drawings. Yeah, there's no harm in going even further and like putting in his teeth at this stage. Yeah, I totally agree with that, Bane. Um, yeah, art is a process. You start out with kind of an idea and a feeling, and you start making stuff, and you realize, oh, the direction I'm going in isn't really hitting that mark, and then you kind of like see what's working, what's not working, change directions, um, start over if you have to, and you have a conversation with the art that you're making. And there are kind of some ways you can do that with AI. You can now there's tools coming out where you can take the results and make modifications to it and add things and subtract things and whatever. I think ultimately AI is going to be so robust that you truly can be a director with it and really get into fine tune the details and really make it what you want it to be. But it's not there yet. Right now, it just sort of jumps straight to the finish line. And it's like, okay, cool, I got this. It's done. What do you think? And a lot of people are just happy to just accept that result that it gives because it looks pretty or whatever. But they haven't invested any process into it. So I do hope one day it will kind of get to this point where you really can get your fingerprints all over it, and it doesn't just make decisions for you, but it just kind of does what you want it to do, does what you tell it to do in a meaningful way. We'll see. Oh, a key logger, like it shows on screen what keys I'm pressing. Um, that could be cool, although I've drastically changed the hotkeys from the default ZBrush so much that I don't know how useful that would be anyway. That's funny, Bane. Yeah, animation takes forever. It takes so long, even the animators themselves forget what they worked on by the end of the film. Like a friend of mine worked on Iron Giant and Shrek 2 and some other really cool things. And I watched one of these movies with him that he'd worked on, and I was trying to ask him like which what he animated, and he was like, dude, at this point, like I don't remember what I did and what other people did. And it's true for myself too. I've noticed that. Like I've I've been doing freelance for 13 years, and yeah, I forget too. Like there's projects I've worked on with other people and forget what I did and what they did. Because also it's like when you're working collaboratively, you kind of get your people, your coworkers come to you and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about this thing?" And you kind of figure out ideas together, and it can be dangerous in some fields. Like, there's always the stories of like rock bands where the members disagree on who wrote the song or whatever, because it's a collaborative process. Everybody wrote the song, but like one person sort of saw themselves as the original inspiration of a song, and then everybody works on it together, and then everybody gets their fingerprints on it, which is great. But some people get their egos involved then, and they're like, "Oh, I this is my song," and everyone's like, "But we all chipped in on making it work." Alan, I do not provide my hotkey layout with Ryan's tools. No, I just kind of leave it up to every user to decide their own, if they want to apply hotkeys to Ryan's tools, they can. Some of my tools actually only work with hotkeys. Um, Not very many, but a few of them just kind of, you have to use them with hotkeys, but you can set it to whatever you want. Srivasanan, I don't know that I'm disappointed that ZBrush hasn't added AI tools. They might be shooting themselves in the foot by not adding AI tools. I'm sure they've thought about it, but I see some instances where it could be useful to use AI in sculpting, where it's like if you got to put a bunch of like really intensely detailed sculpting onto a character and you just bring in a photo reference and you're like, make this part of the character look like this photo, and it just does it. I mean, as far as practicality of getting a result quickly because you're, on a deadline and you have a budget, sure, I see that. But as an artist also, I'm kind of like, but putting the work in to do all that sculpting, that's like, it's valuable too. That's like what it means to be a creator in a lot of ways is like figuring out a way to do that. I don't know, I'd be kind of sad if that was kind of replaced by AI. Yeah, that's totally cool to Freud. Yeah, I agree. It is about the process more than the result. I'm actually not on the very latest version of ZBrush. Um, the last few updates have added so few things that I haven't even bothered to update. I've tried playing a little bit with Python scripting, but I haven't really got deep into it. Yeah, I haven't heard of Meta's segment anything feature. I don't even know what that is. Can you explain? Ooh, good question, Bane. Am I going to add the watercolor texture? I think it's a colored pencil effect, but yeah. Um, my 3D printer is a resin printer, so it's just gray. I could paint it afterwards, or I could color it and get it printed on a color 3D printer. But I think some of the features in like this characters are too spindly for the color 3D printers. They would be too fragile. But I don't know, that's a good idea. I do love the colored pencil look. I don't have my own Discord, um, and I'm also not part of Maxon's official Discord. I think where I put most of my stuff out into the world is ArtStation, ryankittleson.artstation.com, and my YouTube channel. If you just search for my name there too, you'll find it. It's almost kind of fun to just see this kind of primitive character before dynameshing it all together. It's kind of cool. Let's see, I'm running out of time. I've only got like 10 minutes left. Definitely not going to finish this today. I'll wrap it up next time, I think. But let me let me try to get just some basic arms or hands in here real quick. Just gonna steal his leg. My next live stream, I believe it is 2 weeks from today. I think there was somebody else, yeah, somebody else stole this time slot next week. So 2 weeks from today, I'm going to continue this same time. Okay, yeah, yeah, segment anything, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, all of these tools, they're just one by one, they're eating up things that humans used to have to do manually, and it's just there's gonna be one after the other. Seems like every week there's another job that's being taken away by AI. Don't feel sorry about it, Tabernacles. There's two things in this world that I won't shut up about. It's digital sculpture and AI. Speaking of segmenting, I'm gonna split the pants off from the shirt. Yeah, I agree with that, Alan. There's, I mean, I think it's already at the point where if you're motivated to learn something, you can learn it just as well with AI as you could going to a classroom, at least up until like the maybe graduate school level. I don't know, it's hard to say. It probably depends on the career, but but can you get a degree that way? I don't know, but I think if you're a motivated learner, you can learn a lot with AI helping you. Yeah, lots of 3D model sites like that use AI to turn images into 3D models, and I've played with some of them and with mixed results. They definitely are they're not ready for animation, that's for sure. They might be able to be like 3D printed or used as like a prop in a quick and dirty video game, but ready for they're not definitely not up to the quality that human artists can achieve. I'm so interested in AI, even though I'm like also like kind of opposed to it. I do think it's a really interesting technology, and I think it's going to be really impactful on humanity. Maybe for bad more than good, but um, I think when I was young, I was kind of like contemplating, do I go into computer science to study AI, or do I go into art to do 3D modeling? And it was kind of like a toss-up which one I was going to do. Um, I think if I had gone the computer science AI route, I'd probably be a multimillionaire right now. But I don't know how happy I'd be. I really have enjoyed my career as a digital sculptor. How long would it take to pound out a production mesh using Z-remesher? Well, starting from these AI models, a long time because they need a lot of cleanup sculpting and getting a good like production mesh with Z-remesher is actually not. I mean, it's not super hard. There's definitely cleanup that's required there too. I mean, it depends on what kind of mesh. Is it a hero character? Is it a background character? Is it super complicated or not? You know, Uh, honestly, the times I've used AI to generate a mesh, it took so much work to clean up the result versus just sculpting it from scratch. I don't think it saved me any time really. It's kind of like 3D scans. A lot of times 3D scans are pretty messy and noisy and with flaws, and cleaning those up a lot of times is you might as well start from scratch. The benefit with the 3D scan is that um, if a quality scan is done, the proportions are absolutely perfect for work that requires perfect proportions, but a lot of work doesn't require perfect proportions. Like, you're making a cartoony character, there's just naturally going to be changes that you make from scan to finished character. All right, I am out of time for today. Thanks everybody for joining. This was a lot of fun. I loved all your questions and comments. I'm going to finish this up in 2 weeks, so definitely tune in for that. And it's been a great time. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.